He wants you to succeed. Have faith of a mustard seed. Get up on your feet. Rise up.
Welcome to the Drexel SEMA Show. And this show today is sponsored by Seascape Townhomes. I encourage you to check them out. They're located across from the Palms. You can check their website. It's a beautiful, beautiful facility. This is one of the newest villas on the island of Providenciales. So Seascape Townhomes, thank you for allowing me to use this space for the show today. Thank you very much. Our guest today is Mr. James Julien. This is something that you want to talk about. He had temporary custody of his child. Then he lost custody. And he wants to share his story with you. And has the system failed him as a father? What could have been done differently? With that said, I want to welcome James Julien to the Drexel SEMA Show as he shares his story, as he continues. I mean, the case is over, the court case is over, but he still wants to share his story, what he went through, and hopefully it could be a lesson for others to follow as well, not just fathers, but also mothers. And so with that said, I want to welcome Mr. James Julien to the Drexel SEMA Show.
Thank you very much, sir.
All right. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
As you said, my name is James Julien, and I live on Providenciales, and I'm an electrical engineer. And one of my biggest thing is focusing on the youth and also seeing betterment of young men and young women within this community. And as you also mentioned, that I have a custody case I had just went through and have lost custody of my daughter currently. But the fight is still ongoing because of the injustice, I think, that has been done to her, not to me per se, but to her as a child, and also a child has grown within the community. And that is basically me.
All right.
And also, again, thank you for allowing me to be on your show.
Yeah, man, anytime. So take us back now to why were you given custody in the first place? What happened?
Well, the custody battle I went through is the second of two sets of court session I had to attend. The first court session I attended was to get access to my child. And the reason for that is me and the mother were having numerous verbal confrontation, I called it. And the reason for that is it all based on the safety and the well-being of the child. And the issues that arise from that is honesty, consistency, and also, the care and well-being of the child. So those came up numerous times, causing the verbal confrontations. And so because it was going to get out of hand, I decided to report some of the issues to social welfare that I had concern with, letting them know, this is what's going on with this child and that they need to look into this. And my report was taken as office politics, all right? And during that time, this is in 2022 to 2023, and current date, this is a relationship that has been ended for 3 years now. And so with that, I was able to go back and forth with social welfare, trusting the system in which they have in place to oversee the well-being of a child, depending on what situation they are in. And that was not very flourishing because they took my report and delayed on it, never acted on it, until I got advice that, you need to go to the courts. And I went to the court and I put in a date for a court date, which was honored. And after that was summons to court, based on the date. And we went there, and based on what happened, the judge ruled that I was able to get access to avoid more verbal confrontation from
When
happening.
you say access, you mean?
Access in terms of negotiating on when the time should be, I will drop her off,
being able to visit.
being able to see her without having to verbally or talk to the mother per se, or even saying anything regarding, okay, should this be short, should this not be? At the end of the day, something that's written to say, you are now going to be dropping this child off at 5:30, and that's the time you have to drop it. So I had to get that in order to avoid the constant verbal
so you had something in writing, and you went through the court system.
Yes, you went through the court system to get that in place. Because the verbal confrontation was affecting the child, right? And because I saw that basically, I decided to take action after an incident occurred. However, for about a year, that on my end has been kept. But however, there still were some hiccups here and there, right? To present day, on top of that order, one of the things that I did, apart from reporting the safety and well-being of the child under the care of a mother, I had brought to the attention of social welfare that the court order I got the first time said you need to do a home inspection at the two residents, which was never done, right? That home visit was never done, the evaluation was never done. And so the court in December 2023 was written with that out of it now, because we settled the fact that, okay, if social welfare is not going to get involved, we need to now come to a common ground to say this is what's going to happen, and that's what happened. However, in 2024 to 2025, after things got escalated still, my daughter suffered an injury. My daughter fell 5 feet, 4 to 5 feet off her mother's porch on June 16th, 2024, Father's Day. I woke up that morning and my daughter called me and she wished me happy Father's Day. That particular weekend was not my weekend to actually have her. So she called me that morning around 10, wished me happy Father's Day.
How old is your daughter?
My daughter currently will be 6 this month, right? And I got ready for church, went to church, came back, and the following day was going to be a holiday, which is the 17th. I was home waiting to go pick her up based on the court order at 3 o'clock. Around 2:30 or so, 2:30, I got a call. Daddy, come to the emergency room. But around 1 or 12, around 12:30, she called, said, Daddy, I have bad news. Now, normally when she said I have bad news, I know something happened. But the detail of it, she would not be able to tell me, but she would say something happened. She said, I fell. I said, when did you fall? Yesterday. Yesterday meaning was the 16th of June. And I said, where did you fall? She said, off the porch. Right away, I remember the conversation me and the mother had that you need to fix the railing. Because if you don't fix the railing, you let her go outside, she's going to fall. And she said, I fell. I asked her, I said, did your mom take you to the hospital? No. I said, are you okay? She did not really want to answer. And so I said, okay, I'll be there to get you at 3 o'clock. She said, okay. But around 2:30, as I was saying, I got a call to come to the emergency room. So I got ready, went to the hospital, and when I got there, she was in the hallway, and she saw me. And she said to me, Daddy, I want to hug you, but I can't. I said, when she showed me her arm, she could not even raise her arm. So I knelt down and I hugged her, just to let her feel that difference in comfort, right? And I held her and I lifted her up and I took her outside with me. I could not stay within the hospital. I took her outside with me and I spoke to her and I asked her, is she okay in terms of internal, feelings, in terms of she have any bones inside and other places broken. I know the arm is broken, but she said no, just her arm. And so within 35 minutes or so being there, she was called into the x-ray. And that's when they get to find out the arm was broken. Now, you may have people saying, but kids fall all the time. But at the end of the day, kids fall all the time, but the response time and the severity of the fall plays a lot within the response time of what can happen to the child or anybody if you fall, because she falls 5 feet. And obviously, what should have happened is that quick response for her to get medical attention. So I start to dig into the situation and ask her, where was your mother? Mother was home. And I said, well, why didn't she take you to the hospital? She explained to me that the mother took her up, the mother took her inside, put ice on the arm, give her Histile and Calpol, right? Histile and Calpol, one of the things I know with that is that it allows her to go to sleep somewhat or makes her drowsy. And I said, okay, now that your mom did, I said, what happened after? She said she fell asleep and her mom went out. So looking at that and getting that information, imagine that a 5-year-old fell. The mother was home. The mother decided that she's going to leave the child there with the babysitter, fall asleep, and goes out. Now, internal injury could have occurred. Internal bleeding could have occurred. Right? Blood clots could have happened. You would not have known these things while she's sleeping. She even could have passed during her sleeping. You will only come there and find that the child is not moving anymore. Whereas the first thing that should have been had, regardless whether you think the child was hurt or not hurt, because of the height at which she fell and her size, that should have been a quick action to say, take the child to the emergency room or seek medical attention, right? And knowing this, I made my priority to now get custody of her without having to take the law into my own hands, trusting the system, telling her story, presenting the same information that I had presented to social welfare prior, which is a year before that, to let them know, here's are the things that are happening to this child. And please, to look into it. A judge ordered them to actually go and do a home visit. Had they done that home visit, they would have known there's a railing missing. And so I spent about 10 months going to court without professional help. And on November 18th of 2024, I was able to get temporary custody until June 30th.
June 30th?
June 30th of 2025.
Oh, okay.
Right? Because if you look at November 2024, December, January, February. So with all the back and forth, I took that, knowing the fact that between November 18th to June 30th, that gives the child enough time to recuperate from all of that was happening within the courts.
Right.
And also what was going on between myself and the mother. So, and afterward, an evaluation would have been done to actually say, okay, here's what's going on now with the child. And these things that the mother was told to rectify, which is the babysitter issue, which I presented in the first court case, the railing not being fixed, which I presented before, and also leaving the child alone with her 13, 14-year-old brother, right, at night, and also the fact that there should be some level of consistency,
Right.
all right. So all of these things was ordered to be rectified during my temporary custody.
Right. And then so now, but you lost it, right?
I lost it in February because I went to pick up my child as the court ordered December 2nd. December 1st, and December 2nd we're supposed to go back to court so that the order now based on that temporary custody would have been in place.
Okay.
But in terms of the mother now, attorney was now representing her, which at the time I now had to figure out what to do now.
Yeah.
So an attorney stepped in and requested that the judge's decision be turned to where the child now, which I just picked up a day before, to be returned to the mother. Without the documents that was requested by the court to be completed before June 30th, which is the railing and all of those stuff, right? Which was not done. And so, but while waiting within the time, November 18th to December 1st, there was a rush now based on the mother's side now to get that railing sorted, right? And she managed to get the railing sorted, but at the end of it, there was still documentation from social welfare that's supposed to show where now, here's the stuff that was rectified, and social welfare was unable to present that. Okay. Regardless of all the reports that they submitted, the judge was still unsatisfied with their approach on the reports that they submitted, which I think was also a tactic.
So how do you think why do you think you lost the custody then?
I lost the custody because of the co-parenting session that we were put in, and in which I had to respond. And the illustrations that I used in terms of speaking to the questions that was asked of me, the social worker there interpreted that as me speaking vulgarity to the mother or about the mother, which she was right there in the room, right? And simply because I did not address her by her name, but using the illustration that, you don't know what you're really dealing with. I said, that's the response I give, right? And said a girl versus the name. So that was taken into account when I'm speaking vulgarly towards, and emotionally she's affected by that. So she was unable to respond within the session. Secondly, based on an illustration, I was also making, based on a question asked to me about her and a lawyer and her attorney. And so, other than that, there was nothing that on my end that social welfare needed, which I was told to submit. As a matter of fact, I submitted everything right away.
So you think that's why you lost the custody?
I lost custody because
of the co-parenting
session. The co-parenting session, and also the trend was automatically to derail the situation from being a child custody case to a parenting issue.
Oh, okay.
Right? It was focused more on parenting. It just eventually goes towards the two parenting instead of what is the best interest of the child.
Right.
Because when you hear some of the stuff and you read some of the stuff social welfare wrote in their report, it has nothing to do with the child. It's always like the parents are having this, the parents are doing this. And I'm like, at the end of the day, I'm not the one that had to hold on to this child and let you know they fell when I was not there. I'm the one that came and reported. And that's one of the things that I'm encouraging fathers, any parent to do.
To report? To fight the system?
To fight for your child. Because if you're in a situation like I was in, or I'm in, to where your child has to be away from you, still be a parent, but also the safety and well-being of your child should be looked at. And if you see anything, report it.
Yeah.
But knowing the fact that you're reporting toward a system or entity that does not take it seriously.
So, okay, so what should I do? Go through the court system then, as opposed to going to social department?
Well, apparently you cannot go directly to the court system.
Okay.
Social welfare would not do anything unless they are ordered by the courts.
Okay.
Now, going to the courts, they were going to tell you anyway that you have to go to support something or submit something
Okay.
to social welfare.
Okay, so you have
But
to go.
you have to go.
Okay.
So in my case, because I was told that, I made sure everything was documented.
Okay.
I made sure everything was submitted the way I supposed to submit it, and they had a record of everything. They came to my house unannounced. When they came there, everything that was supposed to be there, it was there. Versus where, in the case of the mother, it was like, I need to see an affidavit. There was no affidavit that I need to present. You said I need a babysitter. I showed them proof of the babysitter being there.
Gotcha.
And they asked me, now that you have temporary custody, what is your plan to take care of the child? I did a full listing, of everything. Financially, how she will be taken care of.
Okay.
I mean, her activities from church all the way up to school.
Right.
I submit that to social
So
welfare.
do you think it's because you are a man? Do you think that's why, or do you think preference is given that daughters should be raised by their moms? You think that's part of the problem?
I think it's both. Men, basically, because of when you really look at it, it's very rare do you find men fighting for the custody of their child.
I mean, particularly daughters, right?
Yeah, daughters, right? They don't, because it's like, you know what, they're going to rule in the favor of the mother anyway. But you don't want to use that to say, well, not fight.
Right.
Because at the end of the day,
That's your child.
that's your child.
Yeah.
All right? You may not be the best father there is, but at the end of the day, do something
Yeah.
to show your child that you care.
Yeah.
Right?
And it shouldn't matter
It shouldn't matter.
about the relationship with the mother.
The
I
mother.
think sometimes because the relationship with the former partner, it affects
The child.
the child.
Yes.
And affects the parent dealing with the child. Because
Yes.
sometimes we focus so much on that relationship with the mother or the father.
Yes.
When
and
we
not
really
the
should
child.
focus on what's best for the child. And I
What's
think
best for the child.
I think that's a problem, you know,
Yes.
that we have to get over. That's your child. Focus on what's best for the child.
Yes.
Yes, it'd be nice to have a good relationship with the mother, but if you don't have a good relationship with the mother, try and focus on what's best.
On
for
what's
your child.
best for the child. And even in the family law guide ordinance I have
Yeah.
a copy of it. It says fathers has the same equal right
Yeah,
as a mother to
Yeah. A child has
take
two
custody
parents.
for the child.
yeah.
Now,
They should.
at the end of the day, it should not be a biased situation,
Yeah.
which is what happens with social welfare with my daughter. Because from the time I spoke to them and I brought to their attention what was really happening, there was no action taken,
Right.
right?
Now, let me just say here too, before I go, watching the show, I have not contacted the social department, and have not contacted the mother in this case. I'm just having an interview with the father. So this is his version of the story. I just want to just have that clear for those watching the show. Okay? Yeah.
I understand. And the thing is that if somebody had come to me and said, this is the operation that goes on in social welfare, I would tell them that's not true.
Yeah.
But I personally had to go
Experience.
through it, experience that.
So what are your next steps?
My next step right now is to seek another legal advice in terms of how should I proceed. I would like to actually appeal the case, but one of the things I'm looking at too is I saw what happened to my child during this court session here. Because every time she heard I have to go to court, it's like something come on her.
Mm-hmm.
And she, even though she
So it affected
actually
emotionally now.
emotionally in terms of like she knows she's with me and she's happy, relaxed and everything, but I have to tell her I have to go back now because this was not completed. Because every time we go to court, the judge will ask social welfare to bring a particular document, and because they don't have it, the court have to be adjourned.
And do they ask the child? I mean, during this period, did they ask the child who she preferred staying with?
To be honest with you, I don't know if they did, but they interviewed the child, and from what I've gathered, it is conflicting report.
Okay.
Because you have 3 social workers, and the reports they are presenting, they all are different.
Okay.
Right? And in terms of the child, from what I've seen and spoke to her about, she told me, she said, hey, this is what I said to them. Right?
Okay.
So I'm sure she told them certain things, but at the end of the day, social welfare is writing the report. Social welfare is presenting the report. And social welfare is the one that actually in court and they're interviewing the child, whichever one it is that's going to do the presentation and whatever in court, is they all have control over that. So you don't really know if the child tell them, yes, and my daughter have told me. I told them this. I told them I don't want this. I don't want to do that. But in the report, it does not reflect that.
Oh, interesting.
Right? And the other thing I found too, I have the reports where you can actually compare them. Now, imagine 2 social workers interviewing the same child, but the reports doesn't match what either of them believe.
Oh, wow.
But yet, they will actually say in there, they recommend. They are making recommendation, right? But you can see where it starts to tailor, not to say in the best interest of the child. It's like, we're going to do this because we already know, and you can see in my mind, this is going to be for the mother.
Oh, wow. So
Right?
is this your only child?
This is my only child.
Oh,
This is my only child. And I will do anything for her.
yeah.
And I need to do anything for her. And I'm encouraging parents, men or women, if you believe in your heart that something is going on with your child, don't keep it in. Speak out.
Yeah.
Fight for your child. Right? Bring out whatever it is that you need to bring in the public. Because until you do that, you're not going to know how much kids that are being actually failed through the system, right? Through the system. And what happens is that it comes out in society. A child has the first opportunity at home to know what life is about. When the home fails them, they have numerous second chances. These second chances would include the school system, the church system, the community system, to give them that second chance. But if each one of those second chances also fail them, they are left like, what is the best thing now? They fall into something or with someone that makes them feel like they are the best thing there is, not knowing that child has no way to deal with that pain that they have seen. That child have to grow and know back something happened to them that they went for help for but never got it.
Yeah.
Right? And it shows in society because now a young man may grow to say, you know what? This individual showed me love. That's not love. Because you do not know what love is when you have your father and mother to show you that and understand what that is. But if a friend, on the other hand, say, hey, I can give you $20 without you having to work for it, a young man may get that. And they grow knowing the fact that, hey, I cannot get this from here, but I can get it from this friend. And you don't know how that friend got that $20.
Right.
And you're growing a community now where you cannot say anything to anybody as a young person because they want to go at you.
Yeah.
Why? Because it started from somewhere. And until you peel the layers of the onion back to find out where this child is getting this frustration from, where is this child being manipulated from, how did it start? It started from somewhere. And it started basically within the same system.
Yeah.
Where a child will go for help. But because of not what you know and is who you know, then you automatically saying, hey, I don't have time to really focus on this child's need. I need to make sure that I protect the pride and dignity of this person or this parent, forgetting the child.
Yeah.
And one of the things I like to say in this regard, because I'm in it, even if it was myself, I would like to be held accountable if I did something to my daughter, right? Because at the end of the day, me being held accountable to know that she's not going to be under my care, that being stuff happening to her.
Yeah.
I don't mind that. And when my custody case, when my child was actually taken again, the ruling was that she's going to go back to her mother on March 1st. But however, there was no measure put in place as to we going to be monitoring this child now under these circumstances? Because this is not the first rodeo on going to court just to show that the safety and well-being of the child is in jeopardy. There was no measure saying this was going to happen after you get this child. The only thing that they asked for is an affidavit to show that there will be a babysitter there.
Okay.
Now, in my case, they didn't have to ask me for no affidavit. I automatically went and get a
They
babysitter.
provided. Okay.
But at the end, look at it from this perspective. There's no judge or no individual should be asking you for papers black and white to show you to take care of your child. As a mother, as a father, you should not be documenting.
Yeah.
So I have to show proof that I can have somebody to just to trust you. You should automatically have that. Now, not everybody can be mothers and fathers, but at the end of the day, you should not be the one to say, "But I need to go show papers so I have to take care of my child."
Yeah, I hear you.
Which is a sad situation.
Yeah, it should be.
It should be
part of your
willing
anyway.
responsibility.
Yeah.
And one of the things I would like to point out is I read through all of the documentation that social welfare presented, and I can pick and you can see in there where everything was just directed towards how they want the case to end up, and documentation that I presented to give to them was not presented to the courts.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're doing that, where's the ethical aspect of it? Where's the moral aspect of it? Right? Where's the system? Where's the standard aspect of it? Right? You have to question those, because at the end, if I give you something to say the court asked for, I should see it in court.
Yeah.
Some things are shown, some things are not.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is a very, very sad case. It's unfortunate, you know, especially with the child. I wish you the best in hoping that at least you could probably have joint custody with the child. I mean, because, you know, I guess you'll need to be, it's best yet somehow both parents be involved in not bringing of her. So I hope you'll reach a point where there could be some sort of amicable outcome, and there could be a joint custody relationship with raising a child. And I wish you the best. Do you have anything that you want to say as we end the show? Anything else that you want to say as we close?
Yes, just on that point there, I currently have an attorney that's trying to reach out in that regards for the joint custody aspect. But one of the things I would like to say, and that is I'm calling on the leaders of this country from top to bottom to put their money where their mouth is. And that is, don't use the platforms and give lavish speeches about the future of our kids, the youth of this country, if you're not going to act on it. Because you have a department like social welfare, again, which should be one of those departments to where if any child, makes no difference whether you're male or female, will come from a child, should be looked at as someone in need, that they automatically deal with that. If it's resources that need, have it there. If you need experience and more caring workers, I recommend they have that.
Okay.
Because it will eventually boil over to where you will see society going to go where you have a lot of young people that falls into the wrong category, the wrong company, the wrong environment, and they're doing the wrong thing simply because they went to someone to get help. And because people use society as use a man, you should not be doing this. And men, on the other hand, don't want to stand up and speak about certain things that is going on. But yet you have the sign say, if you see something, say something, right? Fear should not be one of those. And that's what I will encourage the listeners to actually take away from this, right?
All right. Well, thank you very much for sharing your story. I will see how I could reach out to social development as well, just understand the process, at least for the viewers, and even have them on the show as well, not directly talking about your case, but in general, the process on how it works when it comes to, dealing with the welfare of a child and the recommendations that are made to the court system. In fact, that's a show I probably should have with the social development department. But I also want to encourage parents, to try their best to get along with each other for the best interest of their child. Make sure you are taking care of your child as well. And I know it's I know accidents happen, things happen, but make sure you do the best. You provide the best care for that child. Remember, that child is just like a loan to you from God. And take care of them, do the best. And I'm encouraging fathers to be responsible, mothers to be responsible, and always think about that child, no matter what went wrong with the relationship with the partner. Always think about what is best for the child. Remember, that's your child, and that child will always be a child. That child will eventually grow up, and that child will remember what they went through as a child. So I encourage you to be the best parent you can for your child. Thank you for watching the Drexel Seamer Show.